Hey, I've heard you found those missing supplies. Great job. And because of your help and your continuous effort, I've decided to give you a well-deserved promotion. You're no longer a responder volunteer, because from now on, you're a responder. I don't know if Shelly told you this, but we're planning to turn some of these supplies into rations. And then when we are ready, we will start handing out these rations back to the people who need it. Just like we did in the old days. It's been too long since we've been able to help out a community like this. So hopefully we can start soon. There is just one issue. We still don't know who was behind those initial attacks. We don't know if it was just us being at the wrong place at the wrong time, or if it was somehow organized. So I want you to do an investigation. Normally I do it myself, but I think I am too personally involved in this one. So ask around. Ask people what they saw, what they heard. Anything that might help us to figure out who were behind those attacks. You do that, and hopefully we can put this all behind us.
I buy and sell.
Hey, how you doing? The name's Walker. I've heard that you're the one responsible for finding us some new gear. You sure lifted a lot of people's spirits doing that.
Why don't you tell me what happened?
Ah, you mean with the Raiders, right? Yeah, Jake mentioned that you might swing by to ask some questions. Well, I don't know if Jake told you this, but we used to be stationed in New York for a while. We received an emergency call a couple of weeks after the mayor kicked us out of Diamond City, so we split the group in half. One half would stay here in Boston, and the other was gonna travel to New York to help out. When we got there, it was just chaos, but we managed to turn it around for the most part. Believe it or not, but things were actually good for quite a while. We even had some new people join up, like Dr. Cross over there. But then, one night, we got attacked by a group of raiders, and it was unlike anything we had seen before. And these guys weren't the type of raiders that you'll see whacked out on jet ambushing caravans. No, these guys were trained. By the time we got to our weapons, they had already burned most of our camp down. The damage that these guys had caused was so extensive that we had to leave our camp behind. But it didn't matter where we went. At least once a week, we would get ambushed by raiders again. Not the same guys as before, but still, we were forced to retreat, and eventually we found ourselves in Providence. That's where Shelly got in contact with Jake, and, well, before we knew it, we were on a boat sailing for Boston.
Sorry. Sounds rough.
Yeah, it's been difficult. But that was about it, I'm afraid. That's all I know.
Thanks for your help.
No problem, kid. Anytime.
Excuse me.
Hi. I don't think we've met yet, have we? I'm Madeline Cross. Most people call me Doc. I think Jake told me about you. You're the one who found those supplies in the glowing sea, aren't you? Well, I certainly owe you one, that's for sure.
Can I ask you something?
Sure thing. Let me guess. It's about those raider attacks, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know much, really. I joined up not too long ago when we were still in New York. I've lived there all my life, and all I ever wanted to do was help people. So when those responders showed up, it was almost like it was fate. I joined up right there and then, and my life has been changed ever since. But there was one day, well, let's just say something didn't seem right. I was called in to treat a patient who said he had a broken arm. And from that moment I saw him, I knew something was off. He was covered with burns, and his arm sure as hell wasn't broken. The people who brought him into the camp told me he was a scaver, but he seemed more like a raider to me. He probably wanted to get into the camp just to see the layout. You know, to strategize. That's about it. I don't know what else to tell you.
Thank you. I'm sure that'll come in handy.
Not a problem. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got some patients to tend to. Hi, how are you? Of course. I guess it's about those raiders, isn't it?
Can I ask you some questions?
I heard Jake talking to you about it earlier, so I might have overheard a thing or two. But yeah, raiders. Well, after you cleared out the federal stockpile that had next to nothing in it, I sent out some people to collect whatever was still there, and they came across something very interesting. They found some notes of raiders who wanted to leave their current gang behind and instead join up with some guy named Ash. And they talked about him like he's some sort of legend. So, if these raiders are telling the truth, we might want some more guards.
Excuse me.
So, how's it going? Did you get any leads?
Yeah, here you go.
Damn. So, those attacks were organized after all. But if he wanted to attack us both here and in New York around the same time, it means he has someone doing some of the work for him. And I'm not talking about his new recruits. I'm talking about his second in command. Someone who Ash trusts with his life in order to pull off a job like that. Right now, we have no idea where this Ash guy is located, and I got a feeling that his new recruits don't know either. But I bet some of his recruits know where his second in command is though. So if we find his second in command, we'll find Ash. I'll ask Walker to send out some scouts to gather some more info on Ash and his second in command. In the meantime, I want you to focus on Ash's gang and operations. In order to keep a gang running, Ash will most likely have a couple of lieutenants working for him. Walker said that these guys weren't your ordinary type of raiders, that they were trained, which means that they'll need to have some sort of training ground somewhere. A place where they turn new recruits into lethal jet-fueled killing machines. So I suggest you start there. Find this place and shut it down for good. Without new recruits and without training, we'll hopefully be able to make these guys a lot less dangerous.